Blink. Welcome back to Roaming with Moose. It's Heather here, and today I wanted to do a little bit of a different kind of video. Honestly, we're just gonna be yapping. We're gonna be talking, we're gonna be chit-chatting, and I kind of wanted to tell the story of the origin of the bus, our journey so far, and what the future holds for us in the bus. Are you good? What are you doing? So we're gonna go back to the summer of 2022. Joe and I had just moved into our first apartment together. We had the hopes of starting our new life as newly engaged in an apartment. And it was really great. We adopted Moose, and then we felt stuck. We just felt this dread of being in this apartment. What had happened was the rent got raised quite a bit. So it just became financially difficult, and we were kind of like, what's the next step? We're getting married that October of 2023, so what's the next move? So at first we were looking into buying a property and building a tiny home, and the idea of living tiny, the idea of even getting a shipping container home was so interesting to us. We just knew that we didn't want something big, but the problem we were having was we didn't know where that was. We were getting a little stressed, and we were sitting in the living room, I'll never forget it, and Joe shows me a picture of a school bus home. What is this? And he was like, these people renovate school buses to live in, and they just travel full time. With a lot of logistics to figure out, we decided to take the leap, and we got married October 2023, and November 2023, it's funny because Moose was getting neutered. I'll never forget, it was right around Thanksgiving time. He was at his appointment getting neutered, and we were in a coffee shop, and we found a bus on eBay Motors, and it was perfect. It was a mid-sized bus, which is exactly what we were looking for. So we found this bus, and we both instantly were like, this is it. We had the bus shipped to New York from Maryland, and we started renovating the bus. So this is January 1st of 2024. We were still living in our apartment in Westchester at the time. From January of 2024 to October of 2024, we were going back and forth from Westchester County to Long Island, where the bus was based out of. I mean, it feels like a blur at this point. Like I said, from January to October, it was just nonstop. It was a lot, but eventually, when October rolled around, it was like the end of October, we finished the bus. Truthfully, I never thought we would finish. It was always something that felt like an eternity when you were working on it. And then finally, there was the last day, and we were like, we're done. But what came after was a lot harder. We left the driveway on November 4th of 2024. It was the unknown. It was just this feeling of, what are we doing? Are we doing the right thing? And we basically began our journey in the Northeast. And that's because we were very familiar with the Northeast, obviously, growing up in New York. I'll never forget the first day we left, November 4th, 2024. We drove off of my parents' driveway at 4 a.m. There's a bridge called the Throgs Neck Bridge. It's basically the bridge to get off of Long Island. We were on the Throgs Neck. People were waving, and I was felt so cool. I was like, oh my God. I was waving like I was the queen. It was just I was oh my God, everyone thinks the bus is so cool. People were honking because our e-bikes fell off of our bus. Someone was roll down the window, and they're screaming, the bikes are off of your bus. So you're like, what? So we pulled off of the bridge, and we were just oh my God. I was what have we done? I was scared. I was is this a good idea? What have we done? We also, when we realized that our DC converter was not charging, so we didn't have any power. This was Northeast fall, so there's no solar. So we were just kind of like, also didn't realize that our shower, the hot water wasn't connected properly. So we were just taking cold showers in November. We just thought that that was the way it was. We were like, oh, like we don't have any hot water. Like we had realized a few months later that it was just hooked up wrong. So that was interesting because we just thought we would never have hot water. And there was a lot of learning, a lot of mistakes. That's why I say to anybody who's starting out in this kind of life, there were going to be so many mistakes. We're still making mistakes. And then we came home for Christmas, and that's when I found Maple, because we didn't have Maple yet. So it was just me, Joe, and Moose for the first month on the road. We were talking about getting a second dog for a while, and I surprised Joe with Maple for Christmas, which was honestly such a fun memory. It was exciting in the moment, but then we kind of had this like reality check of, oh my God, we are going to be traveling with not one dog, but a puppy in a school bus. And we're going to be going to all these different places, and it's going to be really scary. And what have we done? We were traveling from New York to Florida. So we did the whole entire East Coast, and it was hard training her. It was hard house training. It was hard to do a feeding schedule. It basically felt like we had a newborn. It changed the dynamic because it felt like just when we were getting things good, it was like you threw this puppy into the mix. But I will say it was really nice to have her with Moose, because Moose, I think, was having a hard time because he had a lot of friends in Westchester in our apartment complex. And I feel like Maple really brought a lot of life back, and he became like so much more youthful and like excited. And like to this day, they're just like the best of friends. She's great. I think she's like, oh yeah, she's sleeping behind me. But from December to March, we were traveling down to Florida, and we found our first Skoolie in the wild was actually in Florida. I'll never forget it. We were at Biscayne National Park, which is South Florida. Shout out to Ginny and Austin and Eddie and Alyssa, because they found us and they were like, hey, we have a Skoolie as well. You guys should come snorkeling with us in Biscayne. And we were like, okay. So we all went snorkeling, and they were like, oh, are you here for the Skoolie meetup? What? So apparently there was this big school bus meetup, and we had never heard about it before. We were just happened to be in Florida at the right time, and they were like, oh, you have to come to Skoolie Swarm. Like, that's where all the school buses meet. I'm like, oh. We had never met anyone else who lived in a school bus. We had not known anyone personally. We had not known anyone in the past who had done this before. What do you mean there's a school bus meetup? Like, there's other people that do this that are like here. And it was so fun. We met some incredible people that we are still friends with to this day. Just with the school bus community, there is this huge sense of connection, because we all know what it's like to live on the road. It was so easy to meet people and meet like-minded people and just connect and have a great time. Then set off to the Midwest, which was interesting. You got to go through to get to the West. And then we finally got to South Dakota, which felt like the first Western state. Okay, like we're entering the West. This is different. This is really new. We went to the Badlands. That's when we saw bison for the first time. I feel like when you see bison out in the wild for the first time, that's when it feels like the West. Like we were like, okay, this is like the rite of passage. If you see a bison in the wild, like, you know, you're in the West. Then we entered Wyoming, which really felt like the West. Like we were like, whoa, this is so different. Then we went to Yellowstone and we were seeing all of this wildlife. We saw bison and we saw moose and all of these beautiful birds, and it was just unreal. So then in May of 2025, we had entered into Montana. You guys, if there is one place that everyone should go to, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you're into, but Montana was seriously, I think, the most beautiful, spectacular, pristine state that I've ever seen. This is just my personal opinion. Like an old Western movie. Like it felt like, how is this place real? We fell in love with Montana. We fell in love with cowboy culture. We fell in love with rodeos. But there's a little corner of the country. It's where Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho meet. It's like right there. And that's where Yellowstone is. That's where Grand Teton is. And I feel like that quadrant is the most incredible scenery. So if you're looking for scenery, stunning, spectacular scenery, I would highly recommend everyone going to Yellowstone and Grand Teton. Grand Teton was so cool. We love Jackson Hole. It was just so beautiful. Like I can't even, it's hard to even put into words, but yeah, we just fell in love. We fell in love with everything about it. The West, Western America, just how beautiful the land was, how conservation is so important, and like seeing mountains full 360, it was just so shocking because we had never seen that before. So then we entered into Idaho, which to my surprise was incredible. It's not a state that I ever thought of before. We went to the Sawtooths in Idaho, which is also absolutely spectacular. Then we went north and crossed into the Idaho Panhandle, which is the skinny part of Idaho. Going through the Panhandle of Idaho it's remarkable. I mean, just scenic and stunning and beautiful, and I could just go on and on. And then in late July, early August, we entered into Washington. Washington was truly unbelievable. It was just so rich in culture, and there was like so much to do. I think we truly fell in love with the Pacific Coast in this moment. We're not huge city goers, but there are certain cities that we like really wanted to spend time in. And Seattle was one of those places where we genuinely wanted to spend like a lot of time. The problem is, being in a big school bus, it's very hard to drive through cities. We did Mount Rainier, we did North Cascades, we went to Olympic Peninsula, we went to San Juan Island, which was incredible. And then we went into Canada with the bus, which I didn't think we would do this year. But we went into Vancouver Island, which is like just off the coast of Vancouver. We took the ferry, we put the bus on a ferry, which again, I didn't even think you could do something like that. But we loaded it onto a ferry, we sat in the top of the ferry, and we were in Canada in like an hour, which was so cool. We didn't get to spend too much time there, but it was just cool to actually be in Canada with the bus. Like I never thought the bus would be in Canada. We then got down to Oregon in September of 2025. Truthfully, we fell in love with Oregon. Oregon basically, for us personally, had like everything that we could ever want. It had the Pacific Coast, it had the forest, it had the desert, the outback, it had like a few major cities, but not like crazy. It was very easy to navigate with the bus. And we went to another Nomad meetup. So this was the Northwest Nomads meetup in Bend, Oregon, or just outside of Bend. Also another incredible event. We met up with our friends Andrew and Susanna, who they also have a YouTube. So make sure you go subscribe to them. I'll probably put their YouTube right here. And then meet some amazing new friends. that again, we still keep in touch with today. And that's what I love about the nomad community is like we all have this understanding of like life is busy. We are always traveling, but we will always be friends. We all know the trials and tribulations of living on the road. We know what it's like. We know how busy it could get, changing time zones, being in different places. So we all like have this mutual agreement like, hey man, it's okay. We're still friends, but like we would love to see each other if our rigs cross paths anytime soon. It's a little bittersweet because you make these great connections, but then we all are like, okay, like we'll see you in a couple months. We'll see you in like a year. Like it's all good. I love my nomad friends. I truly love them so much. Then spent a lot of time on the Oregon coast, which we also have an Oregon coast video. So make sure you go look at that as well. We loved it. We had so much fun on the Oregon coast. Pacific coast is just so insanely beautiful. It's so rugged and romantic, and like the rock formations, the tide pools, the animals, it's just something. It's really something. Then we finally got into California, and that is where we are currently. So we are currently in Napa Valley, California. We went to Ferndale. Ferndale. Yeah, so that is basically what happened in the last year of us being on the road. I know that was a long-winded story, but I probably missed a bunch, but you know, we'll save that for another time. I guess just to wrap up this story time, what does our future look like with the bus? Right now, we are planning on traveling through California, slowly head down, and then we have plans to enter the Southwest. And then we are planning on going back to Florida and going up north again. So we're kind of doing like a big circle. We do also have plans on going into Canada next year, which is so exciting. We want to do a full Canada circuit. It's been a full year on the road, but it really feels like our journey just started, as weird as that sounds. We finally, I think, hit a point in our nomad life where we feel very comfortable with being on the road. We feel very confident. And of course, there are things that happen that are like completely out of our control. But overall, there's this sense of comfort and ease when we're traveling. Overall, it's like, I'm glad that this is our life. I hope you guys have enjoyed this kind of video. We would be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys may have about being a nomad and living on the road, or just about us in general. This has been Roaming with Moose. I don't know how I'm even still drinking this. I was yapping.